They are championing outside the country, and yet they are championing one of the most fanatic and religiously obscurantist governments in the region. Al Jazeera, of course, because of the feud between the royal families in Qatar and Saudi Arabia, allows a measure of criticism of Saudi Arabia.
If you're just waking up this morning, 11 hours ago, the United States of America and our warships and our attack planes launched an attack on Baghdad. It was a surgical strike. That was 1 year ago today.
And we found out later, Saddam Hussein thought up to that moment, he's going to avoid war.
Right, he thought he could always call in a favor from Vladimir Putin or Jacques Chirac, and this whole thing would go away. It turns out not to be the case.
And they did their best to make sure that that happened.
Yeah.
Oops.
But he's still in Baghdad, an undisclosed location, in prison.
But he's retired from the dictator business.
Yeah. We'll find out what happens to him shortly, hopefully, in a big trial.
Right.
And it was just interesting. I mean, of course, Saddam Hussein captured. They have a new constitution. Who would have thought a year ago that there would be a new constitution with all members of all of the different ethnic and religious groups in Iraq represented? The new currency, electricity's up, oil's back running again.
Fair and balanced, as you said. However,
as usual.
In closing, gentlemen, let's look at the big picture here. Now in the Arab world, you have everything from Fox to Al-Manar and everything in between. Does the proliferation of news sources make for freer societies? John, what do you think?
I think it does, and I think over time, you're going to see people who are getting different streams of news who are going to be reacting differently. You know, we're still relatively early in this process. And people are interested, and people are sampling a lot. And one of the things that's so interesting is when I speak to sophisticated Arabs, for a lot of them, they say, you know, I know what's really going on in America. I watch Fox News. And there's going to be a while, and people are going to sample, and they're going to get a sense of the complexity, which is both life in the United States and also life in the Arab world.
No, I don't think that the media in the Arab world and the proliferation, which very much is to my liking, of course, is going to make for freer societies. I think because these people are better informed, they know what's going on, but they've always been free. I mean, in their minds, in their consciousness, they've always knew that Saddam was a dictator, no matter how much he was lying to them on his TV. And that's true of King of Saudi Arabia and all the rest of them. What matters is those people who know the difference between this and that ideology are still not allowed, in most cases, to cast a ballot and to choose their leaders. I mean, the reality stays, and largely it stays because of, ironically, the same backer of Hurra TV. I mean, this free one is basically the government of the United States supporting the most tyrannical government of the region, which stays ruling over the people of the Arab world.
Jamal, freer societies with more media coverage?
I think more media coverage is healthy. It's a large market. But is it going to free the Arab world? No, it gives them more options. You need reforms on the ground. You need the reforms within the governments, and that's a major hurdle that the Arabs and the other Arab governments have to undertake on their own without blaming the outside.
John, do you see other impacts, if not freer societies, that having this kind of unified vision, we all click into the same channels, might bring to the Arab world?
You know, the whole project of Arab unity had always been a project that people had sort of pushed from the states downward. And one of the fascinating things that's happened because of Arab television is that you start to see this sense of common Arab culture coming from the grassroots, from the whole Arab world, watching Superstar or watching Star Academy or some other show, watching game shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And there's something Arab about it. You can have a game show which asks questions that an educated Arab should know the answer to, not just an Egyptian or a Syrian or somebody else. And this is creating a fascinating commonality of culture and knowledge in music, which hadn't existed before, and I think is going to transform where the future is. Not that everybody is going to be exactly the same, but you're going to have pockets of transnational communities of ideas, which were much, much harder to maintain in the past.
Well, if this is a war of information, gentlemen, what should the U.S. be doing to win it?
If it was up to me, of course, I would use all that money they're spending on the TV and radio to basically buy food for poor people in the region, build shelters for battered women, and spend it in more social welfare instead of that.
Finally, we close this Mosaic Special Report with the opinions of some of our viewers. We asked you to weigh in on spending taxpayer dollars on Al-Hurra and whether this new channel can bridge the gap between two cultures. Here's what you had to say.
My name is Richard Kurt, and I live in Whitefish, Montana. The key to communicating with someone and winning their hearts, winning them over, getting them to see our view is, first of all, that we have to have the right intention, which is to get to the truth and not necessarily to promote an ideology. We have to be ready to listen to them.
My name is Matthew Miller. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I think it's important that we send a United States-funded satellite signal news and information programming to the Middle East, because viewers in the Middle East have gotten nothing but government-controlled propaganda from their sources of information, their media outlets, for so many decades. And this way it will offer a balance for those people to be able to watch television and make up their own mind.
My name is Charles Hartick. I live in Tonasket, Washington, and I feel it's wrong that we're spending $62 million broadcasting Arabic language programming to the Arab world, because they have satellite TV just like we have, and they have access to the world news, and they can clearly see that what we're doing is just propaganda, and we're trying to mollify them over the invasion and occupation of Iraq. Until we can straighten out our own problems at home, we ought to stop interfering in the internal affairs of other countries.
Let us know what you think by emailing us at contact@linktv.org or drop us a line at LinkTV, P.O. Box 2008, San Francisco, California, 94126.
Funding for this program has been provided by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation, and the Otto Haas Charitable Trust.